Hi everyone, welcome to NetOps Nuggets. In this video, we're going to go over the lab topology that we'll be using. So we've got our lab topology version 1. We've added in a few things since my previous videos. So we've got some ISP connections, a new switch, and a NetOps server. That server is what we're going to be using later on in the series to go through Python and Ansible automation. So we've got everything set up in this topology, as well as a connection out to the internet. I'm using EVE-NG. You don't have to use EVE-NG if you're using CML or GNS3. I've got the TCL files, TCL script files that you can use, drop on your routers. I'm using VIOS, layer 1 and layer 2 images, or layer 2 and layer 3 images, as well as the NetOps server is a CentOS 8 box. The CentOS 8 box, you can download it. If you're using EVE-NG, you can download a usable version out there on EVE-NG's site. We'll go ahead and bring up the lab. So I've got everything configured. What I did is I wiped our switch though to make sure that I run through the steps on how to configure all these devices. If you were to search for Linux images on Google, you'll probably get, let me go back one. I just searched Linux image for EVE-NG, and the first one that pops up is how to create your own Linux host image. Okay, it brings you to this page, and then the download, ready to use downloads link is where it takes you out to mega download, and the CentOS 8 tar image file is what I used here. Okay, as well as on this page, you've got the table for your default username and passwords for all the images, as well as your recommended CPU and RAM. I've already set those up in my environment here. Okay. So we've also got the server here. We'll get that set up in just a moment. So basically, let's start off. Everything here is configured as it is in the diagram. All the interfaces, the interconnects are a mirror image of what is configured here. Okay, so like I said, I wiped switch 1. So let's go ahead and bring it up and take a look at what we have. So no password on this guy, and again, all the passwords for the EVE-NG images or the configurations are going to be Cisco. We have one user account on the boxes, which is NetOps, and then your enable secret is Cisco as well. Okay, so if we show VLAN, show VLAN on this guy. You see we've got no VLANs configured, show interface, trunk, no trunks, show IP int brief, and nothing there. Okay, so blank configuration. Essentially, all you're going to have to do is download these files. They're TCL scripts, and they will go ahead and build out the script on the flash device. Each one of them is labeled base config with whatever configuration or device that you're configuring. So copy and paste this whole thing here, and we're going to go ahead and just drop it on this switch. Wait for that to finish copying, and it'll quit. All right. If we dir, we'll see now we've got that base config switch 1 on our flash. All right. So simple as TCL sh, and then just copy and paste that in, and it'll start the configuration for us. It's going to configure all our interfaces, our trunks, the management IPs, And once it is done, we'll have our completed config. So show VLAN now. You can say we've got our disabled VLAN, native switch management, and server data VLAN set up. Okay, show interface trunk. We've got our trunking set up. Show IP int brief. We should see our management IP now, 10.10.15.10. And then let's go ahead and ping our 8.8.8.8. And we've got reachability outside of our network. Okay. So then over on our server, we'll go ahead and get logged into it. Test 1, 2, 3. Okay. You see our connection's failing because we don't have the IP address set up on it yet. So activities, so come down here to the applications and settings. We're already on network. You see it's trying to connect. We're going to go ahead and turn that off and then click on the gear to edit the settings. IPv4. We're going to do a manual configuration 172.30, 100.30, net mask of 255.255.255.0, so 24-bit mask, with our gateway being 172.30.100.1. We'll give it a DNS of 8.8.8.8, Google DNS, so that we can hit web pages and download content. And we'll go ahead and apply that, turn our connection back on, and you can see now we're connected. All right, if you wanted to test that, we'll bring up Firefox. And just do a quick Google. And we'll say Linux image for Eve and G. A little slow, but it gets the job done. And there we go. So we're getting web access, web pages are loading. Everything looks good. So let's go ahead and close that out. We'll move this over to the side with the main ISP. We've got that NAT set up. Getting Cisco. So we show IP, no, show run, pipe section, IP NAT. So you can see we've got our overload set up for our outbound connections, and then we've got a static set up for port translation to our server. So I've got that configuration set up in here. I'll show the properties of the server. And you see I'm using 65.0.0.1. I'm hitting that outside interface of our main ISP router. All right, let's go ahead and connect to our server. Make sure we have connectivity inbound. And there we go. We're on the server. Okay, so this is great. Basically, if we were to be making a bunch of changes in here and we didn't like what we had put in place, you can go ahead and do a write erase and reload the device. After the device is done reloading, just go ahead and load that file back up again. So again, show dir, and then just run that TCL script again, and it'll put it back to the original configuration. Again, if you're using other platforms, CML or GNS3, I'm using the VIOS images. So you can just cut and paste those files onto those devices and build up this config in those environments as well. So all this information, to include the diagrams, the files, as well as the fully built lab. You'll just have to make sure that you have the images. But the fully built lab topology will all be out there on the Google Shared Drive. So hopefully this gets you started. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and share to get notified of new content.